Hello guys, welcome to a new video. And in the video before, what we did was we configure or we installed these two Tacacs server, and then we also installed the web term. So make sure that you see my videos before on how to install the Tacacs server and the web term. So now what we're going to do is we're going to configure these two Tacacs servers so we can have one for both. They're going to both be used for authentication, but we are going to use one mainly, and then the other one is going to be a backup just in case one of them goes down. So what I also want to do, I want to add another router over here, and let's go ahead and start this router. Plug it into Ethernet 5, fast Ethernet 0. So this is where we're going to use to telnet so we can test TACACS. So what we first need to do is we need to go ahead to this router over here. Um, and I have it on already. So let's go ahead to config T. And then what we need to do is we need to go ahead and run AAA new matter. That's going to start AAA authentication. And then we need to configure a username, and it's going to be my name. Privilege, I want to have the highest privilege. And then the secret is going to be Cisco. Okay, then after that, we need to configure the server. So we're going to configure the first one, Tacacs server, and then we're going to give it a name for that server. So it's going to be Tacacs1 for this one, Tacacs1. And what is the IP address of Tacacs1? I actually copied it right here, and it was 18, which was the first one. So let's go ahead and paste it right here. Actually, you need to give address, IPv4 address, and then you can paste it. So that's how you do the IP address. And then you want to give it a key. So that's going to be the key that is going to be shared between the router and this TACACS server. And it's going to be TACACS1. That's going to be the key for it. Okay. So now, since I want to, let's go ahead and copy this one over here because we have to configure that other one. So now let's go ahead and do exit and go ahead and do TACACS2 address IPv4. Let's go ahead and paste the other one right here. And the key for this one is going to be TACACS1 or TACACS2. And that's going to be the key that is going to be able to authenticate to TACACS2. So it's going to be TACACS2. Okay, great. Then after that, um, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and configure AAA. So let's go ahead and configure AAA. So you need to do AAA authentication. And then after that, what do we want to authenticate, right? That you can do a question mark. Do we want to authenticate? Do we want to do a banner authenticate enable .1x, which we are going to do a video later on it because that's for the CCNA security. Login, PPA, PPP. What do you want to do? I want to do a login, right? So let's go ahead and do login, and then it's going to ask you for the um, name that you want to give it. We're just going to leave it default for now. And default, that means that it's going to go into all the interfaces. Oops. Okay, here we go. Default and then question mark. So what do you want to authenticate for? So I want to authenticate to a group because we want to do Tacacs, right? So let's go ahead and do a group. Then after that, it's going to ask you for a word. And the first one that we configured was Tacacs1, all in capital. So Tacacs1. And then we need to add a backup. So this is saying that, okay, you configure one. Do you want to configure another one? I'm like, yeah, I want to configure another group. And it's going to be Tacacs2 for the other server right here. And then I want to configure another one. And for this one, I want to do local because what happens if I do not have internet connection? I want to be able to authenticate with my local account, which is this one over here, username, Asker, Cisco. Okay, so here we go. Local. So server group TACACS1 is now defined. Please define. So I thought I defined it when I did it over here, but I believe, or I guess that's not how you do it. So let's go ahead and configure as a server group. So let's go ahead and do, actually, let's see. I think I did this wrong. So let's go ahead and if we just configure, um, let's go ahead and deny this line right here. And let's say no. So if we do triple A authentication, login, default, group, Tacacs plus. If we just do Tacacs plus and then do local, what's going to happen is this Tacacs plus is going to get those two routers that I have configured. So let's see if that is how it works. So now what I want to do is do a AAA authentic authorization, and I want to this want to have access to the shell command, default start stop. So let's see, default and then question mark group TACAS plus and then so authorization Excel group TACAS plus. Yep, that's how it is. I'm sorry for that. Yep, and then local. I was thinking of accounting, but this is how you configure the authorization. And I want them to have access to the command line, which is the EXEC, right? Okay, so that's good. Now I want to configure line VTY 0/4, and I want to log in using authentication using using the default because that's how I set it up. I set up to use the default, and then I want to do a transport input using telnet. I know it is not secure, but we're going to use telnet for now because it is faster to configure telnet. So that's good. And now let's go ahead and end. And what we could do from here to test, even though I'm not going to test that because I have not configured the TACAS server, what I want to do, go ahead to the web term. So I have the web term open already. So for the TACAS, the login is ABC123. And this is for the 18, so this is the first one that I want to configure. Okay, so let's make this bigger. It is a little bit big, but that's fine. Um, what I want to do first of all is go ahead and configure a TACAS device. So the first device that you want to add, let's go ahead and go to the console and let's configure this to have a config t hostname r1 and the first device or the only device that we're going to have is going to be um, r1. The IP address is going to be 192.168.1.1. Okay, so I missed a step right here. I need to go ahead and interface give us 0.0 IP address DHCP so we can get a DHCP address from the um, from NAT, and then let's go ahead and do no shutdown so we can get that IP address. Here we go, the line came up, and now let's give it a couple seconds for DHCP to come up and give me my IP address. So come on, give me my IP address. So it should be, there we go. So now we have an IP address 192.168.12.13. So 12, oh, 122.13, right? Yeah, 122.13. And the Tacacs key for this one is going to be Tacacs1. Enable password, we're not going to do any enable password. Want everything to be on clear text so we don't get any errors. Group, we're not in any groups. So let's go ahead and message, access, that's all good. Let's go ahead and add this device. Am I getting any errors? No, empty. Group must be empty. Okay. Let's go ahead and make this not so big. Group must be empty, but it is empty. Why is it showing as null? Prefix 24. Why is it giving me this error right here? Close. Go ahead and try to add it again. It's still saying. Let's go ahead and do R1. 192.168.1. 22.13, Tacacs 1. Oh, okay. Group must be empty, but it is empty. I have not configured any groups. I don't know why it's saying that. Okay, let's go ahead and just close this. Device groups. Let's go ahead and add a group. Test, test, clear text, add device group. Done. Let's go ahead and add a device. The Tacacs key, Tacacs 1, clear text, add device. Okay, so I have added that device right here. Let's go ahead and do for this group actually. If we delete it, then that's going to give me an error. Okay, let's see if we are still able to do this. Let's go ahead and add a Tacacs username. And let's go ahead and edit this one. Let's go to admin, login, test, clear text, clear text. So that's a good privilege 15, just the way I wanted it. Extract. We don't want any chap. So, oh, this is good. Um, so that's good. I didn't do anything, no group. So this is fine. Let's go ahead and configure the Tacacs server. Let's go ahead to global config. It is running right now. Listening over here, max, back off, authentication login, apply global. Did not find any changes. That's good. Um, so let's go ahead and just reload this Tacacs GUI. It is running now. So now what I want to do, I want to test it, see if we are able to um, authenticate. So let's go ahead and do a test AAA, and I want to AAA authentication. Is it AAA authentication? It's actually AAA group Tacacs plus, and then we're going to do the username, which is admin, and then the password, which is test, and then new code, and the username was rejected. So admin test. What I want to do then, go to the Tacacs user. Let's go ahead and delete this. Okay, add a new user. It's going to be Oscar. Password is going to be Cisco, or let's go CCNA security. I don't want to encrypt anything, enable password, nothing. Clear text, message, access, good. Extra options, encrypt password. Yeah, we're not going to do PAP as I meant, so that's good. Add the user, it has been added. Let's go to the Tacacs config. And let's go ahead and reload. Let's go ahead and stop it. Start, apply changes, apply it. Here we go. So that's all I need to do. I just need to apply the changes that I did. So that's good. Let's go ahead and test that again. And it's going to be for the username Oscar. And test the password CCNA security. So here we go. We were able to authenticate with the user successfully. So that is great. And you can see I sent my username and the password, and then they replied, and it was successfully authenticated. So that is good. That means that it is working correctly the way I wanted it. So now what I want to do, let's go ahead and go over here to the other one. And for this one, what I want to do is we're going to go ahead and log in first, ABC 123. And let's go ahead and add a device. Let's add that group first that we did. Add it. Let's go ahead and test. Tacacs key. We are going to leave it empty. No encryption or anything. Add device, group device, because before it would not let me do it without a device. Um, the device name is R1 192.168.22.13, I believe. Yep, that 13 right here. The Tacacs key was Tacacs 2. No enable password. It's going to be a 24-bit. And then message and all that is good. Let's go ahead and add device. Must not, oh, it must not be empty. That's what it was. Okay. I read that wrong. Okay, that's good. Device has been added. Now let's go ahead and add a user. And for this one, we can just leave it as admin and test for the login password. So that's good. Let's go ahead and go to Tacacs config. It is running. Let's go ahead and apply the changes. And do not make a backup because that's going to give you an error. Test. There we go. So that's good. So what I want to do now, I want to test this Tacacs server as well. So if we go ahead and go to global settings, let's go ahead and stop it. So we're going to stop this one, and we're going to see if we are able to authenticate with this one. So let's go ahead and do um, test my username, which is admin, and password test. And there we go. So I was able to authenticate with this one as well. So what I want to do is I want to add another user over here, and I want to add the same user that I have over here, which was user, asker, and my password was CCNA security. So I want to do the same for this one. Add user, asker, CCNA security. It's going to be clear text, and everything is good. Add user, apply changes. Do not make a backup, or it's going to give you an error. And we go apply. So that's good. So this one is still off. This server is not running. If you go to Tacacs config, global settings, you can see Tacacs Plus is not running. So now let's go ahead and see if we can able to test. And as you can see, I was able to test successfully with the other Tacacs server. So that means that I have two Tacacs server running. Just in case one doesn't work, the other one is going to work. So I want to go ahead and start this one. So I'm going to start both of them. So that's good. What I want to do now is do a debug AAA authentication. I want to turn that on, and then I want to see which one is going to be the one that's going to authenticate me, and which one is the one that's going to be working. So let's go ahead and do that. And as you can see, we have some debug messages right here. Let's go ahead and turn another debug, which is authorization on. So what I want to do is, so both of them are running right now. I want to try to telnet from the other router, which is this one right here. See if it's working. So this is R1, config T, interface fast Ethernet 0/0, IP address, DHCP, and no shutdown, so we can get a DHCP. Um, so we can get an IP address from the DHCP server, and the DHCP server that I have running is this one. If you have not seen my video, my last video, go ahead and watch it so you can learn how to configure the two Tacacs server, the web turn, and also NAT. So let's go ahead and go back. So you can see we have obtained an IP address. So now if you go in, and if you try to telnet to my router, which is telnet 192.168.122.13, there we go. So it is letting me into this router right here. So if we do now a username asker, password CCNA security, there we go. So I was able to log into to this router right here. Okay, so it is authenticating me with one of the servers. So let's go ahead and see to my router, and let's see, as you can see that the debug AAA authentication or authorization, it is giving me, or it is telling me that it is successfully loading me into the router from the other router. So let's go ahead and exit. And it's not really, let's go ahead and do config T so we don't get confused because both of the router's name is host name, it's R1. So let's go ahead and configure this to R2 and go ahead and telnet again. Ask, um, asker CCNA security. There we go. So I'm able to go into router 1 from router 2 using one of the Tacacs server. So let's go ahead and exit out of here. And now what I want to do is I want to stop one of the routers or one of the Tacacs server and see if we're able to authenticate with the other one. So I'm going to stop this one and see if I'm able to authenticate with this server right here. So let's go ahead and telnet again. There we go, username, asker, CCNA, security. There we go. So I'm able to log in, end it, and then since it is allowing me to authenticate with this one, what I want to do is I want to um, stop this one as well. So if we stop it, and if we start this one, let's see if we're able to authenticate with the other server. So exit, telnet, asker, CCNA security. There we go. So I'm able to authenticate either with this one or this other Tacacs server because I have configured both of them. Um, I have configured both of them so I could authenticate with both of them. But what happens if both of them are stopped, right? I'm going to stop both of them. Let's go ahead and exit out of here. So what's going to happen is, remember when I set up to, let's go ahead and go up. When I did this AAA authentication, login, default, and then group using Tacacs, and then I did local. So what's going to happen is when Tacacs is not working, I'm going to have to authenticate with my local account, which is this one right here, username Asker, and the password is Cisco. Let's see if we're able to log in from router 1. Since both of them are down, Asker, let's type CCNA security, see if it lets me in with Tacacs. And as you can see, it's not going to let me in with Tacacs because Tacacs is not working. So I need to log in with my local account. Okay. And like I said, my local account is username, Asker, and the password is Cisco. Let's go ahead and try that. Asker and password Cisco. There you go. So now, as you can see, I show you guys how to configure multiple Tacacs server for data availability. And when the Tacacs or when the internet is not running and I cannot reach my Tacacs server, I was able to log in with my local account, which is the other backup. So I have a backup of a backup. Okay, guys, so this is really important. Make sure that you guys know this for your CCNA security. So this is it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.